ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് കേട്ടോ. 1 minute you can
As we move into the afternoon section of day 2, this is an ideal moment to pause, reflect and re-energize our thinking after a day of rich discussion and insights. It is my pleasure to introduce Ruba Malaikal, a distinguished professional known for her work at the intersection of education, leadership and human-centered development. With extensive experience in shaping learning environment and guiding individuals through change, Ms. Malaikal brings a thoughtful perspective on how education must evolve in an age increasingly influenced by artificial intelligence. In a time when technology is advancing rapidly, her work reminds us of the enduring importance of communication, adaptability, and purpose drivership. Her skill promises to re-engage our minds and offer fresh insights into how we can balance technological innovation with human values in the learning ecosystem. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ms. Ruba Malaikal to the dais. Please.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm audible. Thank you. So thanks a lot to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. A very a topic very close to my heart as well. So my father's side, there were 12 siblings and 7 of my paternal aunts. All of them were into teaching at different capacities. So back of my soul, there is something has always connected me to education and learning, teaching, etc. In TCS also, I had spent about close to 4 years as part of the initial learning program, which is our flagship program in welcoming freshers to TCS. Right. So I see this as an opportunity again. Connecting back to academia, I don't miss any opportunity that I get connecting back to academia and talking to them. And I'm also now doing a PhD as well. Picked it up after 20 years of completing my MCA. So when our TCS academic interface team contacted me and told me that the theme of this conclave is Generative AI and Future of Education, I quickly was reminded of a recent incident which I came across. So recently I was waiting at Kalkutam railway station, waiting for my train journey to Kollam. And I couldn't help but overhear a few seemingly students, 3 of them, who was having a discussion. Now, what caught my attention was because they started the discussion talking about their mothers. Right? So being a mother of a teenager myself, that is what grabbed my attention. But later their conversation swiftly switched to recent assignment submission, where they were saying that they used ChatGPT to submit the assignment. And the teachers caught it very instantaneously because they knew that it was ChatGPT generated, because all the assignments looked very similar. So when I was approached, I thought, okay, what best to talk than talk about how to responsibly use these technologies, right? So that is the topic of my discussion today. Ethics meets innovation, because ethics and innovation typically is very difficult to converge, right? When you innovate, there will be some compromises on ethics. So when you strictly follow ethics, you may have to compromise on innovation. So let's see how we can find a middle ground where we can very, very successfully meet ethics and innovation and responsibly adopt some of the technologies which is put in front of us, right? Like generative AI or agentic AI or the traditional AI. How can we use it in a responsible way to help in learning, help in education? So this is the agenda for my talk today. I'll start with a very quick introduction of how AI is used in education these days, and some applications of AI in modern pedagogy, and then benefits of AI integration. Is it something that we should completely avoid, or is there some benefit that we should make use of? And after talking about the benefits, we should also look at some of the common risk, challenges, pitfalls, and then also look at how we can architect solutions in such a way that we can avoid these challenges or mitigate some of these risks. And finally, I'll talk about the responsible AI principles, and I'll conclude with what is the key objective of education, and when we are using such technologies, then how well we are equipped as laymen, right? Where the people who are not really deep into that technology, when you are using this technology, what should be done so that you use it in the right way. I would like this session to be interactive, so if you have any questions, of course we'll have some time for Q&A towards the end, but in between also if you have some questions, please do not hesitate, please ask me. So AI in education is definitely a game changer. Now, how is AI used in education? You might have already heard some lectures from eminent personalities already. But just to give you a brief, AI is anything which generates some kind of outcome. Now it could be predictions, it could be say content, it could be anything. So you get an outcome using certain set of non-rule based or non-deterministic way. That is what we call as AI. So here we use AI in education for machine-based inference, which is nothing but the predictions, and traditional AI or machine learning as we know it. Then AI is also adaptive. AI has adaptive autonomy. So especially in agentic AI, where the agents are taking decisions, and also in reinforcement learning, where the learning is run based on the positive or negative steps that you take. So the learning happens on the go. The machine also learns on the go. And another aspect is human-centered integration. So why have we AI, which was a technology which used to be a purely scientific technology used by the scientific community alone just a few years back? Why have it become so pervasive in our life these days? Now everyone has ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or any generative AI chatbot in our phone, right? So that is the pervasiveness of this technology now. So why has it become so pervasive? Now obviously it is because it has to help us, right? So a technology which we invented to help us live a better life. Now how is it being misused in different ways? Right? And finally, algorithmic accountability. Now, whoever is creating this, now they should also be accountable for the pitfalls. Right? So these are some of the core aspects. Now, this is no different in education; it's the same in education field as well. Now, these are some of the strategic applications of AI, very broad in modern pedagogy. So one is to develop learner-centered tools. So we in TCS, we have something called an educational business unit, where we work with universities, where we work with schools, academia, and build solutions for them. So recently I was talking to one of my colleagues who is part of that education BU. She developed solutions for the education BU customers. And she was telling me some of the use cases that they were developing for our university customers. So one of them was this personalized learning content delivery. Right? So every child we know, every student learns in a different way. So how can we deliver content based on their pace of learning, their ways of learning? So some people might be comfortable reading and learning. Some people might be comfortable using experimental learning. So based on the student's choice, how can you deliver personalized content? So that is one use case that she told me that they were working in. Another was calculating the dropout percentage, right? Especially in Western universities, Western countries, dropouts are very frequent. So how can we proactively address that? So that is some set of solutions used by the institutions or administration of universities and colleges, right? And then teacher-led tools. Teachers are using to plan the lessons, to plan the sessions, create rubrics, creating quizzes, then summarizing articles, evaluating articles. So as we see the student, the three key pillars of learning, the student, the teachers, and the administration or the institution, all of them are equally using this technology and more pervasively these days. And there is also a survey which finds that about 85% of all teachers and 86% of all students are currently using AI in some form or the other. Now, definitely there are benefits, right? And there have been several surveys which gives out statistics like students achieve 54% higher test scores when using AI. then 10 times more engagement than traditional passive learning. AI-powered feedback is delivered 10 times faster, so you get much faster response on how well the content was delivered, how well the session was conducted. Then 75% of students feel more motivated in personalized AI environments. And AI-powered personalization led to a 12% increase in attendance of students. Now, these are some of the benefits in using AI in education. But the picture is not perfect after all, right? It's not all that rosy after all. There are also several challenges. Now, the first one being the erosion of human connection. So there are clear advocates who still vouch for the fact that there has to be a human connection. There has to be a teacher-student connection in education. Now, second is integrity issues. So it was found that 61% students who surveyed was found to have done AI-enabled cheating. Right. And then another aspect of this is when you are using AI to detect or AI to evaluate, it was also giving several false positives, especially for demographically vulnerable minorities, like people who speak different native languages, etc. Now, the third one is algorithmic bias. Now, bias is a huge topic in itself. Coincidentally, my research, PhD research topic as well. So here, the problem is, we can argue that bias is there with humans as well, right? When a teacher is teaching, now the teacher might become biased himself or herself as well. So it's something which is already there with humans. Now why should we be worried about it when machine is doing bias, right? You are saying only the same thing that you see in the society. But the problem is you see it in an amplified way, because it is often seen that the bias that exists in society, now that is perpetuated many more times when a machine is making these predictions or when an algorithm is making the predictions. Now finally, privacy and cognitive risk, especially when student data is shared across universities or student data is shared across colleges, etc. Now what is the privacy privacy ensurement that you give to the students, right? So how can you guarantee privacy to students, guarantee privacy to teachers? Now it's not just about personal data being shared, it is also about the IP, right? Protecting the IP, how well you can protect the research work that you do and ensure that it is not getting leaked outside. So here the core areas are looking at data leakage, how it can be challenged, how it can be controlled. And then another major problem is cognitive risk. So you all might have heard of something called as cognitive decline, right? Now it's a term which has been in existence for a very long time, and it is a elderly problem. Till now it was an elderly problem. So people who are old aged, now they have something called cognitive decline. Now that is because of a natural phenomenon of brain shrinkage which happens in old age. But these days, now cognitive decline is happening much more earlier, because the brain shrinkage is happening not because of age, but because of the fact that we are not using brain as much as we should. So the cognitive offloading or cognitive decline, as we call it, now that is kicking in earlier. Now people who are 40 years old, 45 years old are becoming more forgetful, right? You might have experienced it yourself as well. Then students using AI for sensitive emotional issues. Now the solutions provided by the universities or the colleges, now increasingly it is found that students are using those solutions as emotional support. So you find Gemini or a ChatGPT to be a companion. And interestingly, that is the number one use case for which everyone is using generative AI these days. Generative AI is not used by industries or education or any other industry. The number one use case where generative AI is currently used is for companionship. You can go back and find out more about this. So now that is also another problem, right? Now we talked about the problem, but we have seen that there are a lot of benefits as well. Now, how do we make sure that these two meet together and there is a common ground, right? We want to use this technology because there are several benefits, but how do we use it in a responsible, ethical, safe and trustworthy manner so that we can use we get best of both worlds, right? We can use the benefits of that technology as well as be peaceful thinking that we are using it in the right way. So the solution is to architect solutions which at the core of which is governance, literacy, AI literacy and a pedagogical shift. Now when this technology advancements are happening, you cannot continue to do the same way you have been designing courses, the same way you have been structuring courses, you have been lecturing, you have been evaluating students. Now that will also need to change. Right? So there are four key aspects here. One is, and the foremost is AI literacy. Because AI is not a technology that you can just use loosely, right? You have to use it in a responsible way. You may not need to understand how it works. You may not need to understand the deep learning architecture or the transformer-based models, how it works, get into the depth of the how part of it. But you should be aware of how this technology can be used and where can it be used and how it can be used in the right way. So that is all about the AI literacy. And there are already existing frameworks by OECD. There is a combined framework by OECD and the EU Commission. They call it AI Lit, AI LIT. You can Google about it and you will get a whole PDF, which is a very detailed framework on how AI literacy can be enabled. So what I would suggest is everything should start with an AI literacy. So if colleges, IHRD, I would request you, if it is not already there in your curriculum, please include it, AI literacy, so that your students and your faculty are all aware of how this technology can be used in the right way. Now another is, do not forget the human. Right? So always ensure that you have a human in the loop design. So any decision, at least every critical decision, every critical outcome which is being taken by AI systems, ensure that there is a mechanism where a human can override. A teacher or a faculty or an administrator staff can override this. So whenever you are designing a system, when you are designing a system using generative AI or AI, ensure that you are designing it in such a way that you are having human checkpoints in between and also giving the human a control to override any of the decisions where the human thinks that it is not right. Now another is authentic assessment strategies. So this is where the pedagogy shift should also happen because you can no longer evaluate a student just like how you used to evaluate earlier when ChatGPT or generative AI was not there, right? So if students will invariably use ChatGPT, now what are the different ways in which you can evaluate given the fact that they might have used ChatGPT? Now it is not right to restrict students not to use ChatGPT or Gemini or any other generative AI solution. But even when they use it, how you can ensure that the learning still happens even when such technologies are used. Now finally it is bias and privacy control. So in the coming slides I have details on each of these. So first, like I said, this is the OECD framework. So the OECD and EU Commission has put together a framework called AI Lit. It is an AI literacy framework. And the core domains it focuses are engaging with AI, creating with AI, managing AI, and designing AI. Now, the objective of engaging with AI is to understand how algorithms interact responsibly with other systems. And so basically, how do you engage with AI? How does it impact your work? How does it impact your study, learning, etc.? Now, second is creating with AI. Now, when you are creating solutions using AI and generative AI, how can you architect in a way that there is a human in the loop design? You are taking care of privacy by design or responsible AI by design, all these aspects. And then managing with AI, now evaluating the impact of AI on oneself and the society. Now by using AI, what am I gaining? I have to gain something, right? So what am I gaining? And by using AI in my institution, what is it that I'm giving the students or my customers? Now finally designing AI, which is understanding the technical life cycle and the ethical constraints around AI development. Now, similar to this OECD and EU combined AI literacy framework, there is also another framework created by UNESCO called an AI competency framework, which outlines about 15 competencies across 5 different dimensions. Now, these frameworks are all available in public domain, and any of us can adopt it in our personal or in the institutional front. Now, human in the loop systems, where one is about having a human control for all the critical decisions, and the teachers getting an oversight and an upper hand in correcting any of the wrong decisions. For example, if you're putting a student in remedial, then was it the correct decision? If the decision was taken by AI, then was it a correct decision? And whether teachers with their connect with that particular student, they will know better whether that student should be in remedial or not. So that's just an example. So any such critical decisions which impacts the future of the student, a human should definitely be involved in, and a human should definitely have the rights to override any of the decision was taken. And finally, student agency. Now this is very important because students should be encouraged to critique any of the solutions or any of the output that comes from AI, right? Now, don't blindly trust. Now, every generative AI based chatbot, ChatGPT or generative AI gives a disclaimer, a warning stating that AI could be wrong. Please validate whatever results you are getting, right? So don't take that lightly, because the amount of hallucination that can happen, even with the advanced models like GPT 5.2 or any other advanced models, hallucination is still an animal which is not tamed, right? So you cannot imagine the kind of hallucination that happens. So ensure that anything that is generated, you have an upper hand, right? And you are ensuring, you are validating, you are cross-checking, you are fact-checking and ensuring that whatever is generated is correct. Now, authentic and iterative assessment strategies, like I said, this is where the pedagogy should change. There should be a shift happening there as well. So, like I said, now we have to live with this technology, right? It is there, it is right in middle of us. We are talking about this technology, it has become so pervasive. From the moment you start your day till you end your day, this technology is there with you, and there is no going back now. So let's embrace this technology. Let's not be afraid of this technology. There are pitfalls, there are challenges, there are risks. But irrespective of all that, there are several benefits as well. But how can you make use of this technology in such a way that it actually benefits you, right? So one is in assessments, you can do in-class synchronous work. where you ask students to talk about what they have created, right? And now there are universities and colleges which are moving away from computer-based or AI-based lecturing, and at least some of the evaluations happens in person, where they verify, going back to the old classroom-based evaluations, right? Then iterative scaffolding, where it is about requiring students to submit outlines, drafts, etc. before, so basically their thinking process or the prompts they have given, at the least the prompts they have given, so that you know that the students are thinking in the right way. At least the thought process is original, and the content is only getting generated. The next is experiential learning, where assessments are based on unique field experiences and their personal experiences of some personal experiences they might have had, right? So the field trips or any other seminars. Now you can ask students to maybe write something, their personal experience about attending this conclave, for example, right? So these can become evaluation strategies. Then Socratic defenses, where live Q&A sessions, quizzes happens, and the students should defend the reasoning behind whatever they have submitted. And finally, peer review and collaboration. So there you have multi-stage evaluations happening, starting with peers, then with the teachers, etc. Now, all these to ensure that even if they have used the technology, still the learning is happening, right? So, the ultimate goal of education is what? Yes? No one? What is the ultimate goal of education? Securing a job? Why are you studying? Students here, please raise your hands. Why are you studying? You want to get more knowledge about things that you don't know. Yes, very good. You? Say. Okay. See, I would say that the single most, if you ask me what is one objective of education, I would say that it is learning, right? As long as you are learning, your education is fulfilled. You should know something which you, at least one thing new which you didn't know about yesterday. Correct. So that is when you can say that you have learned something, your knowledge is increasing. Now even when you are using AI or any similar technologies, the goal, the objective of education still should remain the same, which is learning, right? So as long as you are able to learn, you are able to grow. When I say grow, grow your brain, grow your knowledge, grow your learning. Any technology that you use doesn't matter, right? Now wherever you are using AI for in your personal life, in your student life, as a teacher, wherever you are using AI, if you have learned something new using that technology, then it is all ethical. But ensure that you are learning. Even when you are using the technology, ensure that you are learning. Now, bias and privacy preserving architectures, so bias audit and mitigation. Now, there are clearly defined metrics which are available to measure the bias across the demographic groups. So, there are demographic majority and minority groups, as we all know. Now, we shouldn't create technologies that would favor only the majority groups and will not favor the minority groups, or the other way also. We are seeing things going way wrong when bias is done the wrong way as well. Even with companies like Google, when they overdo bias mitigations or fairness mitigations, we are seeing that there are issues where minority is getting favored more than majority. Now, that should also not happen. It should be a balance. Now, some of the ways is, the first way is to measure, of course, but there are proactive ways as well in which you can address bias. Now, one is by ensuring that you augment the data. So, one of the main reasons why bias happens or fairness issues happens is because you already have a biased set of data, because our society is already biased, right? For example, if I look at, say, professions, earlier professions, invariably doctors used to be male gender and nurses used to be female gender, right? So now if you are building a system and when you are training it using the data which is already available, the AI system will also be biased by the nature of it. Now you want to ensure that existing biases are okay, that kind of biases are okay, but you want to ensure that you are not further amplifying those biases when you are using an AI system. So augmenting the data with appropriate percentage, so wherever you are seeing a lower percentage of demographic group, you have to augment more data for that particular demographic group. So that is one way in which you can address bias. And another way is there are algorithmic technical ways in which you can ensure that you are not getting a biased output. Now, privacy preserving, two of the methods which are suggested, one is federated learning, where different colleges or different institutions collaboratively train and fine-tune AI solutions, so that they don't have to share the data. And even when that sharing happens, it happens in a privacy preserved way by implementing differential privacy or similar solutions where you introduce enough noise so that nobody could be able to decipher the students' data later. Now, in addition to what I spoke about, these are some general responsible AI principles. So this I took from our India AI, the NASSCOM's responsible AI toolkit. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about it. This was launched much before ChatGPT was launched. There is a responsible AI toolkit. There are a lot of resources available there in developing how to develop responsible AI solutions. So responsible AI principles, globally there are several that are talked about, but the key ones are around fairness, ethics, safety, security, then accountability, explainability, transparency, privacy, regulatory compliances, and so on. So these are the 9 which I took from the responsible AI, which is available as part of India AI. And these are put together by NASSCOM, and very proud to say that we had TCS presence also in putting together this responsible AI toolkit along with NASSCOM. So now, why is responsible AI important? No, I'm not advocating this because I handle this role in TCS. Because I firmly believe that there is only one way to do AI. Right? Responsible AI is not an afterthought. You build an AI system and then just because I want to comply with some regulations or comply with some rules or some organizational policies, now I will see what I can do on top of what I have already developed to make it responsible. That's not how it should happen. Responsible AI should be baked into the life cycle. So starting from the ideation till the deployment. So when you are starting with an idea of a use case till the time it is deployed, you have to ensure that it is done in a responsible way. When I say ideation, you might think, what is there in ideation? You just have maybe 1 or 2 lines of the idea. Now, how can you make sure that you are responsible at that stage itself? The first and foremost question that you should ask is whether this is an AI or a Gen AI solution. So, first, if it can be done with rule-based, our old, age-old rule-based systems, do it that way. If not, think of machine learning first. Because machine learning is more controllable, more explainable, more bias-free, I would say, in comparison to generative AI. Now, if you cannot do it with traditional AI, then go for generative AI. So responsible AI adoption is required because it preserves that human essence, right? Now people like me, we are the ones who advocate saying that don't forget the humans. Right? When you are advancing with this technology, make sure that you are not forgetting the humans. And second is UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. The fourth goal is ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education for all across the globe. Now, to ensure that, responsible AI is a must. You have to adopt AI in a responsible way. There is no other way. And finally, cultivating cognitive sovereignty. Like I said, the ultimate goal of education is learning. Now, that learning should happen only then cognitive development can happen, right? So, for that cognitive development to happen, you are blindly using ChatGPT, you give a very simple prompt, it gives you some response, you do not even read what that response is. I have recently seen some articles where even in research articles, like published research articles, you usually, along with the response, you get a header line and a footer line also, right? So there have been research publications where this header and footer is also there, where the header talks about what it did, right? This is what I did, and footer it talks about do you want me to do anything further, and it gives you some options. Even this was copy and pasted. So what is the use, right? Why are you doing it for? If you're not doing it for yourself, then why are you using this technology? So I leave you with that thought. So the goal behind any technology advancement should be to build robust and regulatory frameworks so that you can create something which will increase your knowledge, and you are always having an upper hand, not the technology. Thank you so much. Any questions?
On behalf of the organizers of ICT AIFE 3.0, it is my pleasure to extend our heartfelt thanks to Ms. Ruba Malaikal for her inspiring and engaging session. Education, leadership, and human-centric development brought a refreshing pause to our afternoon, reminding us that even in an age shaped by artificial intelligence, empathy, communication, and purpose remain central to the meaning learning. We truly appreciate the energy, clarity, and warmth you brought to this session. As a token of appreciation, we may honor to present a memento to Ms. Ruba Malaikal, graciously presented by the Principal of Government Model Engineering College, Dr. E.S. Jayachandran. Thank you for enriching our conclave and making this afternoon both insightful and memorable. Thank you. And many students are watching our session online.